The sun has just begun to set, casting an orange glow over the wreckage of a once thriving human colony. The battlefield is alive with the sounds of destruction, the thunderous roar of explosions, the screech of lasers cutting through the air, and the eerie hum of alien cloaking devices. Above, in the sky, cloaked ships zip past like shadows, unseen but deadly. Below, the human resistance fights with everything they have, despite being vastly outnumbered and outgunned. In the center of the chaos is Korvath, a seasoned alien warrior. He leads his squad through the ruins, his mind laser-focused on the mission, to obliterate the last human stronghold on the planet. Korvath has fought in countless battles across the galaxy, and he's never met an enemy as fierce and relentless as the humans. To him, they were nothing but weak, primitive creatures, barely capable of defending themselves. But as he surveys the battlefield, something is different. The humans are putting up a fight that Korvath didn't expect. Their guerrilla tactics are unlike anything he's seen before. They use the terrain to their advantage, setting traps and ambushes, even though they're armed with nothing more than makeshift shields and outdated weapons. He watches, surprised, as a group of human soldiers in ragged armor leap from behind crumbled buildings, firing off shots with perfect accuracy. Their courage is undeniable. Their fury is palpable. As they charge into the firestorm of laser beams and explosions, Korvath's confidence starts to waver. These humans are not the weaklings he was taught to expect. Korvath narrows his eyes, scanning the battlefield. He sees one human soldier, he's not sure whether to call him a man or a boy, leap over a destroyed tank, rolling to the ground and firing a grenade launcher. The explosion tears through the side of an alien war machine, knocking it off balance. The young soldier doesn't hesitate. He's already moving to his next target. The audacity of this human surprises Korvath. How could they act so boldly, knowing their weapons are inferior to the aliens' high-tech armor and AI-controlled war machines? This isn't what he expected. He's never seen humans fight like this before. The soldiers are relentless, almost desperate in their attacks, as though they're fighting for something far greater than just survival. For a moment, Korvath wonders if they're fighting for revenge, for their families, their homes, or something deeper. Whatever it is, it's making them more dangerous than any alien enemy he's ever faced. A sleek alien ship zooms overhead, cloaked, but the humans are ready. At the last moment, they fire a burst of EMP from the ground, disabling the cloaking device just long enough for a rocket to tear through the ship's hull. Korvath watches, his jaw tightening as he realizes that this battle is not going as he had anticipated. The humans are fighting with everything they have, but Korvath can't afford to lose. This colony must fall. His orders are clear, and failure is not an option. Yet, he can't shake the nagging feeling that victory might not be as certain as he once thought. The scene is chaotic, filled with blinding lights and explosions. Alien war machines, towering over the battlefield like metal giants, fire lasers from their shoulders, slicing through buildings and human defenses. In contrast, the humans fight with an almost desperate bravery. They throw homemade grenades, lay down improvised mines, and dart in and out of cover with lightning speed. Korvath's mind races as he orders his soldiers forward. His boots crunch on the shattered pavement as they advance, flanked by sleek robotic drones that scan the area for human resistance. The ground shakes with the force of nearby explosions, and the air smells of smoke and burning debris. Human fighters pop up from behind walls, their faces grim with determination as they fire off shots at the alien drones. The humans don't hesitate, even when the odds are stacked against them. Korvath's soldiers, protected by advanced shielding and armored suits, hold the upper hand in terms of firepower, but the humans aren't backing down. As Korvath takes cover behind a crumbling wall, he watches as human soldiers dart across open ground, using whatever they can to shield themselves, abandoned vehicles, chunks of concrete, even the bodies of fallen comrades. Korvath can't help but admire their resilience. They fight as though they have nothing to lose, but to Korvath, their spirit is starting to feel like a dangerous weapon. With each passing moment, it becomes clear, these humans are far from weak. They're cunning, resourceful, and more dangerous than he had ever imagined. As Korvath presses on, he comes face to face with a group of human soldiers, and the battle becomes personal. One of the humans, a young man with short, dark hair and intense eyes, charges at him, using a laser rifle that should be no match for Korvath's advanced armor. The alien warrior dodges the shots effortlessly, but the human doesn't back down. Instead, he switches to close-quarters combat, pulling out a blade from his belt. Korvath's eyes narrow. The human is fearless, throwing himself into the fight with the kind of determination that Korvath has only seen from the most desperate of enemies. Korvath blocks the blade with his own energy weapon, sparks flying from the clash. For a brief moment, the two warriors are locked in a struggle, face to face, as the battle rages around them. The human's eyes burn with fury, and Korvath can see that this soldier is not fighting for glory or honor. He's fighting for survival, for his people. Finally, with a swift move, Korvath knocks the human soldier to the ground. He's about to strike the killing blow, but something holds him back. He's stunned, confused. This soldier didn't give up, even when faced with impossible odds. Korvath hesitates for a moment too long, and before he can react, the human is up and running, rejoining his squad. Korvath stands still, watching him disappear into the smoke. A strange feeling lingers in his chest, a mix of respect and confusion. For the first time, Korvath wonders if he's underestimated the humans. This won't be an easy victory, after all. As the battle continues to rage, Korvath's mind is in turmoil. The humans are more than just a threat, they're a force to be reckoned with. And this battle will change everything. The battle is chaotic, and the humans are starting to feel the weight of their struggle. The alien forces are relentless, and the humans, though fierce, are beginning to show signs of exhaustion. Korvath, who has led his troops with unmatched confidence, is now facing the consequences of overestimating his own superiority. During the heat of the battle, as the aliens continue their assault, he finds himself caught off guard by a surprise attack from a group of human soldiers. An explosion rocks the ground beneath him, throwing Korvath into the air. His armor takes the brunt of the blast, but the force knocks him unconscious. His body crashes to the ground like a heavy, lifeless mass. As the smoke clears, Korvath's comrades, who have been retreating, glance back and see the fallen warrior. They believe him to be dead, just another casualty in a losing war. Without hesitation, they continue their retreat, leaving him behind. Korvath lies there, barely conscious, his senses fading. He can hear the sounds of the battle moving farther away, and then, silence. The adrenaline fades, and he's left alone, bleeding and broken in the middle of the war-torn city. But fate has other plans. Lieutenant Bonner, one of the human soldiers, is moving through the debris of the battlefield, ensuring his team is retreating to safety. His orders were clear: pull back and protect the last survivors. But as he surveys the wreckage, he stumbles upon the body of Korvath, sprawled out on the ground. At first, Bonner doesn't recognize him. He's seen alien warriors like Korvath before, but this one seems different. The armor is cracked, the energy shield shattered, and the alien's face is obscured by the dirt and blood. Bonner kneels down, his weapon still in hand, ready for a fight if the alien is still alive. He leans in close, inspecting the warrior. For a moment, Bonner feels nothing but disgust. He's seen the destruction these aliens have caused, the innocent lives lost. But something about Korvath catches his attention. The warrior's chest rises and falls, faint but steady. Korvath isn't dead, he's alive. Bonner's mind races. The alien is a threat. He's one of the invaders, one of the reasons so many human lives have been lost. But then something changes. Bonner feels a flicker of humanity, a sense of compassion, something he didn't expect. Despite the warrior's role in the destruction, Bonner sees something that stops him in his tracks. The alien is defenseless, vulnerable. For a brief moment, it feels like the tables have turned. The invader is now the one in need of saving. Bonner takes a deep breath, weighing his options. The mission is clear: save his people, get them out of here, and regroup. Yet here he is, standing over an enemy soldier, debating whether or not to let him die in the streets. The tension within him grows. His team, hearing the sounds of the battle moving further away, is already preparing to move out. "Lieutenant, we need to go," one of his soldiers calls out. "If that alien's alive, it's a risk. We can't afford to waste time." Bonner stands frozen for a moment, torn between duty and something deeper. His mind flashes to his fallen comrades, the ones who died trying to protect these very streets. But then, the image of the alien soldier's determined face flashes through his mind. He remembers the courage of the human soldiers who fought alongside him, and suddenly, something shifts. In this moment, in the face of everything that has happened, Bonner sees something greater than just victory. It's about what it means to be human. "We can't leave him here," Bonner finally says, his voice firm. "We save him. He may be our enemy, but right now, he's a living being, and that's worth something." His words are met with resistance. Some of the soldiers argue, furious at the decision to risk their lives for an enemy soldier. They've lost so many already. The anger is palpable as they debate whether saving Korvath is worth the danger. But Bonner stands his ground. "Look," Bonner says, his voice steady despite the tension, "we all fight for the same thing: survival. If we can save this alien, maybe it's a reminder of why we fight, not just for victory, but for something more. We can't be like them. We can't let them define us." With a final glance around, Bonner orders his team into action. The rescue is a desperate and dramatic affair. As Bonner's team carries Korvath through the war-torn streets, the city seems to close in on them. The once bustling metropolis is now a maze of shattered buildings, broken roads, and piles of rubble. The sound of distant explosions rattles the air, and the sky is filled with the echoes of alien ships patrolling the area. The soldiers drag Korvath, whose once pristine armor is now scratched and damaged, across the ruins. Each step they take is more perilous than the last. They must avoid detection by the alien patrols still hunting the remaining human survivors. The soldiers move in complete silence, their movements swift but cautious. Every step feels like a race against time. At one point, they nearly make a fatal mistake. As they pass through an alley, an alien patrol comes into view. Bonner's heart skips a beat. He signals for the team to freeze, the tension in the air thick as they hold their breath, praying they won't be spotted. The aliens' footsteps grow louder. The soldiers hide behind the wreckage of a fallen building, barely daring to move. Korvatha's breathing is shallow, and Bonner's mind races. If the patrol finds them now, everything will be over. They'll never make it out. But just as the patrol passes by, unaware of the humans hiding just feet away, Bonner feels a rush of relief. The team moves again, faster now, knowing that each moment they waste brings them closer to danger. The scene is intense, filled with narrow escapes and moments of heart-stopping suspense. Bonner knows the risks, they all do, but the decision has been made. They will save the alien, no matter what the cost. Korvath slowly regains consciousness. His body aches, and his head throbs with pain. For a few moments, his mind is foggy, clouded by the remnants of the battle and the shock of being left behind by his own forces. His senses begin to sharpen, and he realizes he's not on the battlefield anymore. He's in some kind of medical facility. The sterile smell of antiseptic fills the air, and the quiet hum of machines surrounds him. This is not a place he ever expected to be. He tries to sit up, but his body refuses to cooperate. His muscles are sore, and his mind is sluggish. As he glances around, he sees robotic assistants moving efficiently, tending to the equipment in the room. The high-tech machines, the clean white walls, and the soft glow of medical lights all create an unsettling contrast to the chaos he experienced just hours earlier. Korvatha's first instinct is to reach for his weapon, but then he remembers he doesn't have one. The realization hits him, he's been captured, or worse, saved by his enemies. The anger boils inside him. He's been trained to fight humans, to destroy them at all costs. Yet here he is, in a human facility, alive. Confusion clouds his thoughts. Why would they save him? He was the enemy. Was this some kind of trap? Suspense and conflict. As Korvath struggles to move, he notices a human standing nearby, watching him. It's Captain Walker, the seasoned human officer who had led the retreat and ordered the rescue. Korvath glares at him, still confused and furious. He opens his mouth, but his voice is weak, almost a whisper. What's happening? Why? Why am I here? His words are thick with distrust. Captain Walker, who has been standing quietly by the door, steps forward. His calm demeanor contrasts sharply with the intensity of Korvatha's anger and confusion. You're in a human medical facility, Walker says, his voice steady but firm. You were injured. We saved your life. Korvatha's eyes narrow. You saved me. His voice is incredulous. I was your enemy. Why would you save me? Walker sighs and leans against a nearby counter. Because it's what we do. It's our code. He looks at Korvath, his gaze serious. We don't leave people to die, even if they're our enemies. We save lives, no matter who they belong to. Korvath recoils at the response. His whole world has been turned upside down. The very people he was taught to hate, the humans, are now the ones saving him. The bitter taste of confusion lingers in his mouth. He's been conditioned to view humans as monsters, but now they're showing him something different. He can't reconcile these new facts with the beliefs ingrained in him. Before Korvath can respond, a human medic enters the room, carrying a medical scanner. She's tall and strong, her face determined but worn. She's wearing the same uniform as the other humans in the facility, but there's something about her that makes Korvath pause. The medic, named Sarah, walks over to Korvatha's side. She's the one who treated him earlier, carefully tending to his injuries and stabilizing him after his near-death experience. She stops at the foot of his bed, her eyes locking with his for a moment. Then, she turns her focus back to her work. Your wounds are healing well, Sarah says in a calm voice, adjusting the medical equipment. Her hands are steady, precise as she scans the area around his chest and arms. The robotic assistants move around her, almost like they're programmed to follow her every command. Korvath watches her silently, his anger turning into something else, something he doesn't quite understand. For a moment, their eyes meet again. There's a flicker of something in her gaze, something he didn't expect. Sadness? Compassion? He can't tell. But there's also a sense of determination in her eyes that unnerves him. Suddenly, his anger flares once more. He remembers the reason he's here, the reason he was fighting. You think I should be grateful? After everything your kind has done, he spits, his voice rough. I was taught that you humans are nothing but savages, that you'll stop at nothing to destroy my people. And now you're helping me. Why? Sarah doesn't flinch. Instead, she pauses, looking down at the scanner in her hand for a moment. Then, without meeting his eyes, she speaks. My brother died in a battle. He fought the same fight you did. Her voice cracks slightly, but she keeps her composure. But even after losing him, I still believe in saving lives. I couldn't just let you die out there. Korvath is stunned. He had never considered that the humans could feel loss like he does. He's been so focused on the war, so wrapped up in his mission to conquer and destroy, that he never allowed himself to see the humanity in his enemies. To him, they were nothing more than obstacles. But now, as he listens to Sarah's words, he feels an uncomfortable guilt gnawing at him. Korvath can't help but feel the weight of Sarah's words. He had expected hatred and revenge, but instead, he finds compassion. The humans didn't kill him when they had the chance, they saved him. They showed him something his training had never taught him. The war had taught him to see his enemies as less than human, but here, in this moment, that view is crumbling. Sarah continues working on the scanner, but Korvath's thoughts are consumed by what she said. His people, his leaders, have always painted humans as heartless monsters who only know destruction. He had believed that for so long. Yet, Sarah's actions, her compassion, and the fact that she risked everything to save him, force him to rethink everything he's been taught. Korvath looks at his hands, the same hands that fought against these people, that killed so many. And now, those hands are being tended to by one of the very people he once thought of as inferior. He's no longer sure where the lines between enemy and ally lie. He feels the stirrings of doubt, and for the first time, he wonders if his mission, his war, was built on a lie. The contrast between the futuristic, high-tech medical facility and the violent chaos of the battlefield outside couldn't be more stark. The clean, white walls of the medical bay seem almost unreal after seeing the ravaged city, where buildings were once vibrant but are now reduced to rubble. The room is filled with advanced medical technology, machines that can heal wounds in minutes, robotic assistants that move with precision, and tools that Korvath has never seen before. The facility feels cold, clinical, but there's also an aura of hope in the air. Outside the medical bay, the sounds of the war still echo faintly, but here, it feels like a world away. The warmth of the lights inside the facility contrasts sharply with the darkness of the night sky, where the battle rages on. Korvath is caught between these two worlds, one where survival is the only goal, and one where life itself is valued, even for enemies. Korvath spends the next several days in the human medical facility, recovering from his injuries. Though he's physically healing, his mind is anything but at peace. The humans have been kind to him, showing him a side of them he had never imagined. But it only raises more questions. Why did they save him? Why are they so determined to survive, to fight back against an empire that has all the power? The answers don't come easily. As the days pass, Korvath learns more about the human struggle. He sits in a small room, talking with Captain Walker and other members of the human resistance. The humans explain their history, the battles they've fought, and the losses they've endured. The human resistance has been at war for years. An empire of technologically advanced aliens, the same empire that Korvath is part of, has been relentlessly attacking Earth. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, have been defending their planet from an enemy that refuses to understand their need for peace. Korvath listens, stunned. He had always thought of the humans as invaders, weak, unworthy creatures that had no right to challenge his people. But now, hearing the full story, he begins to question everything. The humans speak of their home, the cities they've lost, the people they've had to bury. They talk about their families, their loved ones, and how they continue to fight not out of hatred, but out of necessity. Earth was their home, and it was being destroyed by an unstoppable force. Yet, they continued to fight with everything they had. Korvath feels the weight of their words, and something deep within him begins to shift. He starts to see humanity in a new light. Korvath is no longer sure of who the true aggressors are. The more he learns, the more conflicted he becomes. The humans didn't come to his world to conquer it, they didn't seek out war. They were forced into this conflict by the alien empire that Korvath serves. He's been fighting for an empire that believes in domination, in the destruction of those who stand in its way. But what he now understands is that the humans were simply defending their home, their way of life, from an enemy that would stop at nothing to wipe them out. Korvath struggles with the realization. Everything he thought he knew, every belief he held about the humans, is falling apart. They are not the ruthless invaders he was taught to hate. They are survivors, fighting to protect their families, their homes, and their planet from an empire that has no mercy. This revelation brings guilt and confusion. Korvath begins to question the teachings of his leaders, the ones who told him to see humans as weak, inferior, and deserving of destruction. His sense of duty is shaken, and the loyalty he once felt to his empire begins to slip away. He's torn between his upbringing and the new truths he's learning from the humans. The walls he had built around his mind are crumbling, piece by piece, as he faces the harsh reality of the war he's been fighting. He's not sure what to believe anymore, but one thing is clear: humanity is not the enemy he thought it was. One night, as Korvath rests in the medical facility, he overhears a transmission from the Resistance's communication room. His ears perk up when he hears something that shakes him to his core. The transmission is from a high-ranking human officer, and the words are clear: the alien empire is planning a final assault on the human resistance. Korvath listens intently as the officer explains that the aliens are preparing a full-scale invasion to wipe out the remaining human fighters once and for all. The resistance is running out of time, and they need to act fast if they're going to survive. Korvath's heart races. He knows the force the alien empire can bring to bear. The humans won't stand a chance unless they get reinforcements, and fast. He can't help but feel responsible. His own empire is preparing to destroy the very people who had saved him. Korvath tries to push the thought away, but it lingers in his mind. He is caught between two worlds: his allegiance to the alien empire and the new understanding he's developing of humanity. He knows that his people are coming to destroy everything the humans have fought for. And if they succeed, humanity will be wiped out for good. As Korvath contemplates this new revelation, the scene shifts to a flashback, a vivid, haunting vision of the alien invasion of Earth. Korvath is momentarily transported to the very heart of the destruction. The images come flooding in: buildings burning, cities in ruins, and people running for their lives. The once beautiful landscapes of Earth are now scarred and broken, as the alien war machines ravage everything in their path. The sky is filled with fire, explosions lighting up the horizon as the alien forces descend on Earth's cities. The ground shakes beneath the weight of the enemy's weapons, and the air is thick with smoke and ash. Korvath sees the images of helpless civilians, families torn apart, children separated from their parents. The scenes are horrific, and the devastation is almost too much to bear. Korvath watches in disbelief as human soldiers fight back with everything they have. They don't have the advanced technology or the overwhelming numbers of the alien empire, but they fight with a desperation and a will to survive that is unbreakable. He sees their faces, their eyes filled with determination, and for the first time, he sees something in them he didn't expect: courage. The vivid imagery of destruction and the strength of the human resistance only intensifies Korvath's internal conflict. He is witnessing the cost of war, the price of survival. His mind is torn, his emotions a whirlwind of confusion, guilt, and regret. He knows that his people are the ones responsible for this destruction, but he can't escape the growing realization that the humans are not the invaders. They are the victims of an empire that has shown no mercy. Just as Korvath begins to understand the humanity of the humans and the true reason behind their war, everything changes in an instant. One quiet night, while the humans focus on recovery and preparation, an alien strike force arrives on the planet. They are led by high-ranking commanders who are determined to reclaim Korvath at any cost. The mission is clear: destroy the human medical facility and eliminate the remaining human resistance fighters once and for all. The strike force arrives with terrifying speed, using advanced cloaking technology that makes their ships nearly invisible to human radar. As they descend on the medical base, Korvath feels a cold rush of dread. He knows what's coming: his people have no mercy for the humans. They see the humans as a threat that must be wiped out before they can become too strong. Korvath watches helplessly as the first wave of alien fighters begins their assault. The peace and quiet that had settled over the facility are shattered by the deafening sound of explosions. Alien warships descend from the sky, their weapons unleashing torrents of destructive fire upon the base. The human soldiers immediately spring into action. But they aren't prepared for the sheer force of the alien strike force. Korvatha's heart races as he watches the humans scramble to defend themselves. The humans are outnumbered, their technology not nearly as advanced as that of the alien invaders. In the chaos, Korvath sees human soldiers darting between cover, using cloaking devices to remain unseen as they launch surprise attacks on the alien invaders. Advanced drones buzz through the air, providing reconnaissance and fire support for the human fighters. Despite being under siege, the humans fight back with everything they have, using their ingenuity and determination to hold off the assault. Korvath watches the action unfold, his mind racing. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, are being outmaneuvered. The humans are fighting in ways that Korvath hadn't anticipated, using every resource available to stay alive. He sees the human soldiers moving like shadows, always a step ahead of the alien strike force. He sees Lieutenant Bonner, the soldier who had saved him, leading his team with calm determination, coordinating the defense like a seasoned strategist. The battle is intense, with explosions rocking the base, and gunfire echoing through the corridors. The alien soldiers, who are accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with sheer force, find themselves struggling against the human resistance. The humans are small in number, but they are relentless. They are fighting not just for survival, but for everything they believe in. Korvath feels an overwhelming sense of confusion as the battle rages on. He knows that his own people are the ones attacking, but his growing respect for the humans complicates things. The more he watches the human soldiers fight with determination and skill, the more he realizes that they are not the monsters he was trained to hate. They are fighting to protect their families, their way of life, and everything they hold dear. For the first time, Korvath sees the true cost of war, not just for the humans, but for everyone involved. He has been raised to believe that the alien empire's mission is just, that they are superior and that their power must be maintained. But now, faced with the bravery of the humans, he begins to question everything. The walls of loyalty that had once seemed so strong begin to crumble. As the aliens breach the outer perimeter of the base, Korvath is faced with a choice. He could leave, return to his people, and leave the humans to their fate. After all, he is a soldier of the alien empire. He has fought alongside his comrades for years, and his loyalty should lie with them. But when he sees the desperation in the eyes of the human soldiers, when he sees Lieutenant Bonner rallying his team to hold the line, something changes inside him. Korvath can no longer stand by. The choice is clear, he must fight with the humans. The betrayal stings deeply, he is turning against his own people, his own kind, but he can no longer ignore the truth that has been unfolding before him. The humans are not the enemy. His people are. And he won't stand by while they destroy everything the humans have worked for. The battle in the medical facility is fierce and chaotic. Korvath, still recovering from his injuries, grabs a weapon and moves into action. He's not fully healed, but he can't stand to watch as the humans fight alone. He steps into the chaos of close-quarters combat, shoulder to shoulder with the human soldiers. The sight of Korvath fighting alongside them is a shocking one, an alien soldier, once their enemy, now standing side by side with humans, fighting against the very empire he had once served. The corridors of the base are narrow, and the air is thick with smoke and the acrid smell of burning metal. Alien and human soldiers clash in the dark, using everything from guns to knives in a brutal struggle for survival. The sound of gunfire is deafening, and explosions shake the walls of the base. Korvath moves with deadly precision, taking down alien soldiers who are too focused on the human resistance to notice him. In one corridor, Korvath is side by side with Lieutenant Bonner, both of them crouching behind cover as the alien soldiers push forward. Bonner looks at him for a brief moment, his expression unreadable. Then, without a word, they both charge. The two soldiers move in perfect synchronization, human and alien working together to take down their common enemy. The visual of Korvath and Bonner fighting together, two former enemies united against the alien invasion, is striking. It's a powerful image of what can happen when old loyalties are set aside for a greater cause. The contrast of Korvath's alien armor next to Bonner's human tactical gear symbolizes the unity between them in this moment of chaos. As the alien forces begin to falter, Korvath realizes that this battle is far from over. But for the first time, he's no longer fighting against humanity, he's fighting for them. His decision to fight alongside the humans is a betrayal of his people, but it's also a declaration of his belief in their cause. The tide of battle may be turning, but Korvath knows this is only the beginning. The real test will come when the alien empire learns of his defection, and he fears the consequences. As the battle intensifies, Korvath and the human soldiers hold their ground, determined to protect the medical facility. In this moment of chaos, Korvath feels more alive than he ever has before. And for the first time, he feels like he is fighting for something worth saving. The battle rages on, but there's a palpable shift in the air. Korvath, once a loyal soldier of the alien empire, is no longer the same person. He's been fighting alongside the humans for days now, and every moment has further convinced him of the truth: the humans are not the enemy. They're survivors, fighters, and their strength is something Korvath could never have imagined before. As the final assault on the human base intensifies, the alien strike force pushes forward with relentless aggression. The humans are doing everything they can to hold their ground, but the alien forces are too powerful. Just when it seems like the battle is lost, a new wave of alien soldiers arrives. This time, they're coming straight for Captain Walker. The leader of the human resistance is a prime target, and the aliens know that taking him down would crush the remaining hope for humanity's survival. Korvath, his heart pounding in his chest, sees the threat and knows what he must do. Without hesitation, he races toward Captain Walker, his mind made up. He doesn't care about the consequences anymore. The alien forces may have been his people, but he has shed his allegiance to them. He's no longer one of them. He's a human now, fighting for their survival, not their destruction. As the alien assassin closes in on Captain Walker, Korvath leaps into action. The assassin is quick, but Korvath is quicker. In a fierce display of strength and skill, he intercepts the assassin just in time, engaging in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. The assassin is trained, ruthless, and deadly, but Korvath's new loyalty fuels his every move. He knows that he can't let this man die, not after everything they've been through together. Korvath fights with a fire he's never known. He uses every weapon, every skill he's learned over the years, to take down the assassin. The two collide with intense force, their bodies slamming into walls and the ground. But Korvath is driven by something deeper now, his belief in humanity's will to survive, and his desire to protect the people who had once been his enemies. With a final, powerful move, Korvath disables the assassin, saving Captain Walker's life. But the victory is bittersweet. In the process, Korvath is mortally wounded. His body is broken from the fight, but his spirit is free. As he falls to the ground, he knows that this act of sacrifice has sealed his fate. He's no longer just a soldier, he's a hero. But it's too late for him. As Korvath lies on the ground, his wounds deep, he begins to reflect on everything he's learned during his time with the humans. The pain in his body is overwhelming, but his heart is at peace. He thinks back on everything that led him here, the initial distrust, the battles, the questions that began to erode his old beliefs. Korvath thinks of the first moments he spent with Captain Walker and the other humans. He had been so sure of his superiority, so certain that his people were the ones who should rule the galaxy. But now, as he lies dying, he realizes how wrong he was. The humans are not the weak creatures he once thought they were. They are strong, resilient, and full of compassion. They fight not just for power, but for their loved ones, for their homes, for the future of their species. Korvath remembers the moments that changed him, the conversations with the humans, the battles fought side by side, the way they cared for each other even in the face of destruction. He reflects on the sacrifices they've made, and it hits him deeply that he's made the ultimate sacrifice now. He's given his life to protect them, to protect the cause he believes in now. There's no going back for him, but as he feels his life slipping away, there's no regret. He's found redemption in his final moments. The final fight that Korvath partakes in is a blur of violence and chaos. The clash between the human resistance and the alien invaders is at its peak. In the distance, the sky is filled with the fiery explosions of orbital bombardment as human warships engage the alien fleet in the sky above. The bombardment is a symbol of the final stand of humanity. The aliens, once so sure of their dominance, are now fighting to hold their ground. Korvath's final battle is intense and visceral, filled with the raw energy of a close-quarters fight. The sounds of fists colliding with armor, the crackling of energy weapons, and the screams of the dying fill the air. But despite the chaos, there is a focus in Korvath's movements. He is no longer a soldier of the alien empire. He is fighting for humanity, for survival, and for the belief that they deserve a chance to live. As the alien assassin falls, defeated, Korvath stands tall for a moment, bloodied, bruised, but victorious. He looks around at the chaos, the destruction, and the people he's fought alongside. And in that moment, the symbol of his transformation is clear: he has broken free from his past. The alien ships that once represented his loyalty are now targets of the human forces, being blasted apart in the sky. The destruction of the alien warships in orbit mirrors Korvath's own personal break from his old life. As the final explosions light up the sky, Korvath feels a deep sense of peace. He knows that his sacrifice has made a difference. The humans will survive. They have a chance now. He can feel the shift in the battle, the turning of the tide, and he knows that his actions have played a crucial part in that shift. In the midst of the chaos and destruction, Korvath dies, a soldier redeemed, a hero reborn. His sacrifice has been the ultimate act of rebellion against the empire he once served, and in the end, it's the humans who stand victorious. The future is uncertain, but for Korvath, he has found his redemption. And that is all that matters. The battle has ended, and the dust is settling. Korvath lies in the medical bay, fighting to stay alive after his sacrifice, but against all odds, he pulls through. His wounds are grave, but his heart beats strong with a sense of purpose. The humans had never expected a former enemy to survive, let alone recover and stand by their side. But Korvath's story is far from over. When Korvath wakes up, he is greeted with cautious eyes. The humans don't fully trust him yet, and understandably so. After all, he was once one of the most feared warriors in the alien empire. But there is something different about him now, a change that's evident in the way he looks at them, in the way he no longer sees them as enemies. Korvath's decision to fight alongside the humans and sacrifice himself for their survival speaks volumes. His actions have earned him a place among them, though there are still lingering doubts. Some soldiers question whether they can truly trust a former alien warrior, while others are skeptical about what his true motivations might be. But Korvath's sincerity shines through in his every action. Captain Walker, the leader of the human resistance, is the first to extend a hand. "We don't have to be enemies anymore," he tells Korvath. The simple words carry weight, for they symbolize a shift not just in the war but in the way the humans view Korvath. He is no longer the enemy. He is an ally. And with that, Korvath finds his place among them, not just as a warrior, but as a symbol of hope, a symbol that change is possible, even in the darkest of times. As Korvath begins to integrate into the human resistance, his vast knowledge of alien tactics becomes invaluable. He understands how the alien forces think, how they operate, and how they can be outsmarted. The humans now have an edge they never had before: Korvath's inside knowledge. With his help, they begin to develop new strategies to counter the alien threat, using unconventional methods that the alien forces never saw coming. The human resistance begins to grow stronger, more organized, and more confident. Korvath trains them in alien combat techniques, while the humans teach him about their way of life, their determination, their resilience, and their ability to come together even in the face of overwhelming odds. It's a mutual exchange of knowledge, and with every lesson learned, the alliance between Korvath and the humans deepens. As the war rages on, the alliance between humans and Korvath becomes a beacon of hope. The humans, once on the brink of extinction, now have a fighting chance. They've found an unlikely ally in Korvath, a former enemy who has not only shared his knowledge but has also become part of their family. The resolution of the story doesn't come with a clear-cut victory. The war is far from over, and the aliens are still a powerful force. But what has changed is the human spirit. They are no longer fighting for survival alone. They have Korvath by their side, and his courage, sacrifice, and unwavering loyalty inspire them every day. In a crucial meeting, Captain Walker stands before his team, including Korvath, and addresses the group. The fight isn't over yet, he says, his voice filled with determination. But we have something they don't. We have each other. And with Korvath's help, we'll turn the tide. Together, we'll take back our world. Korvath, standing among them, feels a sense of pride and belonging. He has come a long way from being a ruthless alien soldier to becoming a vital part of this human resistance. His journey from enemy to ally mirrors the larger story of the human spirit, how even in the face of destruction, there is always a chance for redemption, unity, and hope. The final scene of the story is one of quiet reflection. Korvath stands on the edge of a high platform, looking out at the stars. The view is breathtaking. An endless sea of distant galaxies and nebulae. For a moment, everything is still. He thinks about the war, the battles fought, and the sacrifices made. He remembers the day when he first saw the humans as nothing more than weak prey, only to realize they are far stronger and more capable than he ever imagined. Korvath reflects on his transformation. He was once a warrior who fought for conquest, for the glory of his people. But now, he fights for something greater, freedom, peace, and a future where species can coexist, not as enemies, but as allies. He looks at the stars and feels a sense of peace settle over him. There is still much to be done, but the hope of a better future is no longer just a dream. It's within their reach. As he turns back toward the resistance base, he sees the humans preparing for the next phase of the war. They are strong, united, and ready to face whatever comes next. Korvath is by their side now, and together, they will continue the fight. The final shot zooms out, showing Korvath standing with the human resistance, gazing at the stars. The battle may continue, but there is a newfound hope that this war will end not in destruction, but in a victory for freedom. Korvath's journey has come full circle, from an enemy of humanity to one of their greatest allies, and in doing so, he has helped shape the future of the war. As the camera pulls back further, the screen fades to black, leaving a message of hope. The fight for freedom is never over, but with courage, sacrifice, and unity, the future can always be rewritten.